I think I'm live now. I can never tell. Am I live? Can you hear me? I hope so. So it's time again. It's Wednesday for another vegan cooking demo with Christine from the Plant Life Canada. And like I say every week, I'm so excited to share this recipe with you. I'm always excited to share this recipe because my whole channel is about cheap, easy, healthy vegan food. That's what we're all about here. And I have another awesome recipe for you. So if you are new watching this, I'm going to ask at the beginning of the video, please subscribe to my channel. Like the video, share it if you like the recipe. They're usually only about 15 minutes long, so it's super easy to watch. And here we go. So this recipe this week, the reason why I'm so excited about this recipe is that it used to be my go-to food when I was vegetarian. So before I became vegan, I was vegetarian for a long time. Not a long time, but a couple of years. And then over time, I ended up going vegan. So I used to eat fish. So now I don't eat fish anymore because fish are awesome. But I used to make tuna melt sandwiches, and it was my favorite thing. It was the easiest thing and super delicious. And I wanted to find a way to veganize that. And I'm actually surprised because I've been vegan 4.5, 5 years now, and I have never tried to veganize this recipe. So I'm super excited to share it with you. So it is super easy and simple ingredients that most people will have in their house. The one item you might not, but we'll go through it. Super easy. So you need some canned corn and some chickpeas out of a can. And you're going to need some vegan mayo and some vegan cheese. I have some from Farm Boy. It's pretty tasty. And then these are the two kind of weird things. So I don't know where I ever came up with this flavor combination. And maybe when you say it all out loud, it sounds kind of weird, but it's delicious to me. So you also need some sweet chili sauce. And I like this brand because it's a little bit cheaper than some of the others. And you can also get it in like a really huge bottle. And I'm being an old lady, but I used to get the really huge bottle for like $1.99, and now it's like $4. So I'm old. And then the other thing that you might not have, but it adds that sort of ocean flavor, is some roasted seaweed. So you can use a little snack pack like this, or if you have any of the squares from making sushi, you can use one of those too. It's the same thing. It's called nori. So it's easy to find. So this you can find snacks anywhere, Asian grocery store, and you could also use sushi wraps. So that's it. So again, I don't know where the sweet chili sauce came in, but somehow I made up this recipe. And so we're going to make it today veganized. So let's go ahead and do that. And I'm old school with my camera again this week because I was having a bit of technical difficulties like I usually do. So we're just going to go ahead and pop down. So you have a bowl and you have some chickpeas. So I opened up a huge can of chickpeas. This was like a giant can, but basically you can just eyeball however much you need for your sandwich. So a tuna melt sandwich is on toast. I forgot the other ingredient. You do need a piece of toast. So we have our chickpeas and we're just going to mash them up. And it doesn't matter if the little skins are there. You can pick them out if you really don't like them, but they usually mash down good. And you're looking for, ideally, you don't want it to be a puree. So that's why I just wanted to do it with a fork. Sometimes you could throw it in like a mini food processor, but you want some little bit of chunks there. So let's get that all mashed down. So you do this to preference, but you want to have it basically uniform and at least squish each chickpea once. Super easy. Oops, we got a runaway chickpea. Okay, so we've got our little mash going there. It's pretty good. And I'm going to add some black pepper now before we put in the other ingredients. And then same thing with the corn. You just want to eyeball how much corn you like. I also don't know where the corn came into this recipe back in the day. I really don't know how I made up this recipe. A moment of genius or desperation, not sure yet. There, we got our corn. And then we are going to put a little bit of this sauce in. And so this is pretty sweet. It's not super spicy, but if you wanted a spicier version, I think that would taste good too. And then we have, look at that, freshly opened jar with a little dollop still on top. I love doing that at the first scoop. And so you don't want, I don't like to have the sauce be like super mayonnaisey. So you just put what your preference is. You don't want it like super wet because you're putting it on a piece of bread and you don't want to make the bread soggy. So that's my tip to you. But if you want to put a whole cup of mayonnaise on that, you go right ahead. So now we have our little mixture. And you can eat it just like this. I'm going to try it actually. And the flavor, so good. The flavor is really good. So this just looks like mush, but when I used to eat fish and I had my can of tuna, I thought it looked delicious, but now, it's just lumpy. So you can eat it like that, totally fine. If you want to have, if you're trying to look for that flavor that you're used to and you want a little bit more ocean flavor to it, use one of these. I found in my test batch that for this amount, because the mayonnaise is going to overpower it, I wanted two of these roasted sheets, but my suggestion is to put in one and taste it and see if you like it, but I'm going to go with two. And these are so dry. Well, they're oily and dry, but they're so brittle you can just scrunch them up. So just try to get them as thin as possible. I tried to do this in a bullet blender, and because of the oil from roasting them, it just stuck all over the blender. So these ones are a snack version, which I think have sesame oil. If you use the nori from sushi, you wouldn't get all the stickies on your fingers. And then you're going to mix that up. So first of all, let's do this taste test before we assemble it, because I want to see it. The test batch I did was insanely fishy. Okay. Yep. It tastes like tuna fishes, which is kind of weird, but if you want that flavor, that's what you're going for. But these are chickpeas, not fishes. We're good. So now we have to assemble the melt part. And I wish I had looked this up before, but from what I remember, tuna melt is like an old, super old recipe, probably from like the 50s or something. I got to look up the history of it. And so let's see how we assemble that. But I'm curious to know the history of like who thought of this in the first place. But we're here to veganize it, so it doesn't matter how long it's been around. Okay, so you have your mixture, and then you have your piece of toast. So based on my previous experience, I always toast my bread a little bit first, because if you put the bread on soft and then you put the mixture on top, I always found that the inside of the toast is all gooey from the mixture, and then the outside of the toast gets really toasted. So my suggestion is to toast this a little bit first. And someone's mentioning in the chat, you put dill pickle chunks, like pieces of dill pickle. That would be really good. I don't know if that would be good with this sweet chili kind of flavor, but I'm willing to try it. Because this was really easy to put together if you, like, it's kind of random stuff from the cupboard. So if you're like stuck on what to make, it's pretty easy. And then you could just put that in a normal sandwich with some lettuce and eat it too. You don't have to melt it. I'm having more. Mixture toast. Now we're doing the melt. This is the brand from Farm Boy, which is pretty good. And something I noticed about Farm Boy that I really like is their resealable package. So instead of having that extra thick, Ziploc thingy that probably can't be recycled, it just has a flap that has adhesive on it. I really like that. Okay. Not that there's any method to this. So we're going to put a little bit of cheese on top, or a lot, whatever you like. And then, because vegan cheese is not as melty as cow's cheese, not all brands. So what I did is I put this in a 450 degree oven, and I melted it a little bit. And then what I did was I put a little tin foil tent over it halfway through, and then the cheese could get melty, because sometimes I find vegan cheese actually gets crispy in the oven, which would actually be pretty tasty on this too. So you can either leave it, let it get crispy, or put your little tin foil tent. And there you go. So that would go in a 450 degree oven. I'm going to say probably less than 10 minutes, because you don't want the toast to get too extra toasted, but you're going to have, that's a trial and error on the toast front. You're going to have to decide what you like. So there we go, in the oven. And then it comes out looking delicious and melty like that. So you can have one of these as a snack. You could have 2 pieces. Like I said, you could always put some veggies and lettuce and like make it a closed face sandwich. But I always ate it like this with a knife and fork. And actually I'm going to put, I forgot to put pepper on this one. But you want to assemble these as you eat them. They're not good for leftovers once you've already put them together. And definitely, I would not microwave this, because that would be gross. So I'm going to eat it like I used to. Cut it open. But for some reason, I don't know, again, I don't know where I came up with the sweet chili and mayo. I don't know where I came up with that. But there are several Facebook posts that come up in my memories often, with people going over and over this tuna melt sandwich, which is tuna for chickpeas. Okay, let's give it a try. Smells good. Oh, I smell it. So the cheddar, this cheese smells so cheddary, delicious. Like I don't even care if it doesn't melt very well. So let's give it a try and see if it holds up to my memory. Yep. That is exactly like I memorized it. And actually, because this test mixture sat for a little while, the flavor of the nori sheet, of the seaweed sheet, actually mellowed right out, and it is insanely good. And the flavor of the cheddar with the seaweed and the mayonnaise and stuff is just like I remember it. Super classic tuna melt sandwich. Tuna. CH. Tuna. I thought that was hilarious, but my partner did not. Anyway, amazing vegan tuna melt sandwich, or just a sandwich mixture. Add dill pickles if you want. Take away the sweet chili sauce, just put mayonnaise. It's such an easy meal. And then you get a ton of nutrition and protein out of the chickpeas as well. They're an amazing legume to eat and super cheap. Toast is cheap. Corn is cheap. Chickpeas are cheap. Mayonnaise is pretty cheap. So try it. Try it. I'm going to have one more bite. That's so good. So I'll amend my last tip. I think when you toast it first, definitely toast it a little bit first. Don't toast it as much as I did, because it did get crispier. So maybe the mixture is a little bit less watery with the chickpeas. But if you want that nice crunch of toast, go ahead and do it. Okay. As I chew, that is it. We are done for the day. I see people in the chat talking about pickles, and that's awesome. So what am I saying? I'm done. You're done. Please share this video, like it. Please subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. I really appreciate it. If you have other YouTube accounts with different emails, subscribe from there too. And like always, if you have time to stick around and watch another video, it really helps the YouTube algorithm notice my channel, and I would really appreciate it. But that is it. End of story. This is another cheap and easy and delicious and nutritious vegan recipe. Bye.